Hey everyone, it's Simone and I'm here with Bella and we are just having a good time today. We are so excited to be here with you for the communication with the 47. Bella, why don't you tell everybody what we're doing?
So we are tapping into the energy, thanks to Simone, of Gene Key 47, Gate 47, Hexagram 47. So really tuning in and see what wants to come through. If you are familiar with the Gene Keys, you know that it's a living transmission and that any of us who are in it can actually receive more. It's not going to stop. We're always going to evolve, and the same thing with these transmissions. So today we have Simone, who is a quantum shaman, and she's tapping into all the archetypes with us in order to show us what's possible to actually do with them, and how to communicate with them in our lives, in our reality.
Awesome. So we love it when you join us. We love it when you have questions and comments. So if you're here live, make sure you contribute. Let us know you're here. And if you're listening to the recording, you can also comment, and we will see your comments, and they will post in live time. So let's see what the 47 has to say today. The 47 at first was a little hesitant, and then it kind of like jumped out at me. So it felt like I was in a box with the 47, and then it almost like burst forward, and now it's laughing. And the 47 says, opening a statement is, I want you to know that you are healing and that we are on this journey together, that as you transform, I transform, and consciousness transforms, we all transform. And she shows me a line of people holding hands, and everybody is the hands are swinging, and she shows how there is comfort in joining hands with others in our process. And she says, like, take comfort that others are with you on this journey, and to let people in. And when she said that, it's like two of the beings in the line opened their hands, and someone kind of came into the circle, if you will. And then there's a lot of sharing of love. And then that person went and found the place that was comfortable to be in the healing circle. And she says there's room for us all. There's room for everyone in the healing circle. And she says, don't be afraid to let others into your circle of life, into your circle of healing, and your circle of friends, and to be open. And she's talking about how change occurs when we let people into our lives. And she says that sometimes we get in grooves, and everything feels light and easy, and maybe it's easier to not open the circle up and let other people in. But she says growth and transformation come from relationship, and if you want to learn something new, let new people into your life and enjoy them, and enjoy the experience of healing with them. And that she's taking my vision around the circle, as she says that everyone in our circle brings a gift. And she shows me almost like the heart as a little has little doors, and everybody in the circle is opening up the door to their heart. And some of them have just one image. Others have shelves with all different kinds of things in their heart space, in their storage of their heart. And she says she's going around the circle, and she's kind of looking into people's heart spaces and reveling in what people have stored in their hearts. And it's almost like she's saying, part of what she was showing me was that what we store in our heart, in part, is a product of the past. And sometimes it's good to share what's in your heart. And when she says that, she literally takes some things out of one person's heart storage area and says, like, this person could use this now. And then when she takes it out of that person's heart space, that person like comes alive. It was almost like holding that in the heart was oppressive and was holding that person down. And when they share what's in their heart and let it out and then give it to the people who need it or require it, you become enlightened in the sense of your load is completely lightened. And then she shows me it's truly enlightenment. So you open up to new experiences, new relationships, new feelings, new thoughts, new vibrations, new everything. And when she says that, it's really funny because everybody in the circle is like leaning over and emptying out their heart of everything from the past that they're ready to let go of. And now they're all laughing, and it's a joyful thing. Like they realize what they've been holding on to that they're ready to let go of. And they're really now in celebration of each other. And now what they're doing is, like, they were in their fixed places and they kind of dropped their hands and they were really celebrating, almost dancing. And then the circle started moving, and they're moving within this place. And it's like they're finding the new space of where they want to be. And really, like some of them make little circles and they're kind of dancing around. And it's so interesting to watch because they're still a collective, but they're geometries within that collective are transforming and lightening and are really joyful and changing, and some of them stay in that new geometry, and then they move. Some of them stay, others are moving and trying out things. And the 47 is saying that alchemy comes with movement. So, be fearless in your capacity to move and experiment and try out new things, and be joyful in that process of letting go and living, really. Bella, the 47 would really like for you to join in with us. She's like, would you like to come into our circle? She's really excited for you to join us.
I feel a little bit surprised about the energy, the cheerful energy, the feminine energy. I often feel like when people have this 47 in their activation sequence, in their incarnation cross, it's a little bit like carrying a cross or even being on a cross. And the way we know it in the shadow frequency and even in the higher frequencies is that it has to do with the transmutation of karma. So I wanted to ask the 47 if she could tell us, like, what is karma for her? How would she explain karma?
She shows it to me like a scar in the energetic field, and she says it's a place you keep repeating. And imagine over time you keep stopping at the same place or recurring at the same place, and the energy gets dense. And she says that some people believe that once the scar is there, there's no there's no possibility to change. And then she points at me and she goes, "This one knows that scar tissue can easily be transformed." And she's showing me my son's face. So my son, when he was 21, he was in a really serious car accident and he was impaled by a tree as his car careened down a hill into a canyon. And he had massive scarring on his face. I mean, literally, some of the scars on his face were as big as fingers. And through acupuncture, his face is, you can still see lines, but there's not these big finger-like scars. So scar tissue can be dissolved. And she says energetically, in terms of living life, coming and incarnating, that you can dissolve the energetic scar in the field, and it doesn't have to be oppressive. She says that she's showing me the words joyfulness and lightheartedness, and she says that when we approach the scarring, if you will, insert whatever that is that you feel is the karma of your life. She says the new perspective, growth in perspective, is one of the most joyful ways, in a sense, to polish that scar. And she says new perspectives can come instantaneously. And it really is, asking the question, what could I do differently here? What could I see differently here? How could I experience this differently? What have I been experienced? What have my perceptions been about this thing? What if I tried something new? She's showing me pictures of a makeover. The makeover shows where someone wears the same clothing all the time, and then they don't know how to change that look, and they go to professionals and they reinvent the way they look. Well, that gives them a whole different perception about their life force energy. It allows them to make different choices. She shows me them inserting their energy into the field in completely different ways. And she says it can be as simple as that, as inserting your energy into the field, whatever field you're in, whatever relationship you're in, and choosing to, step back and say, well, I've been coming in from this door on the left forever. What happens if I drop down from the ceiling? What happens if I come in through the right? What happens if I come in wholeheartedly? What happens if I don't take things so defensively? What happens if I see myself differently? What if I see that other people might respond differently? She goes, any change is a change that allows for the breakthroughs in the scar tissue. So she says, and as you she says that the reason she began with the circle is that she wanted to really show how letting new people in and seeing how you are the same or different with the people you engage with can help you.
And what about karma in the sense of this lifetime, or what we bring with us? Like, is that scar something that's from here, or is that scar something that comes with us, that we inherit almost?
Well, she says it's both, because if in lifetime after lifetime, you come in with your soul's plan and you want to have some experiences. And sometimes it's almost like, when we had the old fashioned records and it would hit in a certain place if there was a scratch. And she says it's that repetitive catching at a certain place, and that there are many lifetimes we come in, we're not intended to repeat that thing, but there's bleed through, and you repeat it, and then you repeat it, and you repeat it. And when you're on your journey of discovery for self, you start asking, well, why am I having this repeating pattern in my life? What's going on here? Instead of just saying, this is the way things, or this is the way it's going to be. No, it doesn't have to be. It's really about whether you want to look at that and shift it or not. And then she says, so that's the patterning of the scarring over lifetimes. But, you know, in a particular lifetime, soul comes in with their plan and their journey and their options, and maybe something influences them, and they repeat it and repeat it, and it's a, you know, it's something they're choosing to learn through. Do you have to keep repeating patterns that create scars? No. Do you learn from them? Sometimes, yes. Can you shift it? Absolutely. But it takes that that willingness to choose to examine your point of view. And, you know, and she's saying there's responsibility there. Like, you know, do you take responsibility for what you're choosing or not choosing, for what your options are, and really look at, how do I replicate the patterns in my life? How do I experience something new? And she says there are people who want to experience something new, but they don't want to change anything in their life. And she says it's really hard to keep all the structures in your life and experience something new. It takes, you know, it takes you leaving all these structures in your life and somehow choosing a new point of view, a new perception. And she says it's easy for some, and it's harder for others. So.
Mm-hmm. We don't have that many people on, so I'm going to ask a question. What I've noticed with people that have the 47, it's that I feel like they're often, even when it comes to their profession, they're helping other people transmuting karma. They're helping other people see what crosses they're carrying, etc. And many times I feel like they're geniuses many times in that way. But when I look at their life, I can still see that they are in their own circle. Like they are geniuses in the world, but somehow in the personal. So there seem to be so much easier to see it in the other and to be logical and objective about it. But there is still something that makes the 47 in their own life. And almost like they are saying it's more, they can almost give their life to kind of the collective transmutation instead of coming into the personal. So how to shift back? Because it doesn't really, if we don't feel the change inside of us, I don't believe, like, it feels like they are not living what they are helping others living in some way. And what is that mechanism that makes it easier to take somebody else's cross off?
Yeah, the way she shows me this is in a metaphor. So it's like a taxi cab comes up, and the person who's the 47 lifts there's somebody else, and they lift them into the taxi cab and close the door, and they send them on their way. And then another person comes up, and they lift them into the taxi cab, and then they head on there. And this pattern of lifting other people up to send them on their way. And then it takes the 47 going, wait a second, I want to get in the cab. I want to go on the journey, and then saying, okay, I'm going to get in the cab and go on the journey. And she's showing me that sometimes people with the 47, they're like, well, but I like lifting people up and putting them in the cab and helping them on their way. And if I get in the cab, I can't do that. But what they don't realize is they could get in the cab, go down the street, get out, and help a few more people get in a cab.
Mm.
Like, just because they take a spin doesn't mean that they have to give up helping people, but she's showing me like when you're in that moment and you're lifting other people up so that they can go on their way, you don't know what's going to happen, where, you know, where the journey's going, where the cab is going to stop, and if you're going to be able to help people on the other side. And she says that some 47s feel like they're going to lose that capacity if they move forward, that they won't be able to help people in the same way. And she says, and that sometimes they won't be able to help people in the same way, but they'll be able to help them from this new place, from the journey of the evolution of themselves. And then they'll be helping them from a higher vibration or a different vibration. And, you know, then they can still, and then, and she says, and simultaneously through the journey, they may change who they want to help. And the way she shows me that is they go to the other side of the car and starts helping people get in the back seat of the passenger side instead of the driver's side, you know, or into the trunk. She's showing me all these different kinds of options. So,
it's strange what's come through. It's like, it almost feels like the 47th feels like it's maintaining a certain freedom as long as it does it for others. So it feels like it's still doing its life's work, but it's actually doing it for others. And like freedom, and this is, I don't know where it comes from, but it feels like the misunderstood 47 would say freedom is more important than love in a way. It's like, I'm doing the work, but I don't trust that I am part of the process. It's like I'm the catalyst. And that is, in one way, that can be bypassing your own life and actually carrying across that is too much to carry. So I'm wondering, maybe just the awareness could shift that, or is there something with the 22, which is the programming partner of grace, or what is there anything that comes here that could help, that could be like a, not a crutch, but something to kind of shift that mentality?
Well, when you brought in the 22, the 47 joined hands with the 22 and just started dancing, and just, you know, the reveling in the connection of the 22. I felt in my body almost like a relief, like, you know, if you're the 47 and you're always the person helping to finally have a partner who you can dance with, it almost takes you out of that pattern of constantly helping. But she's saying that the 47 is saying that this is why she started with the image of everyone in the circle opening their heart space and letting out the past and letting go the things that they, you know, everyone has a gift. And the way she's showing it to me is, imagine that in your heart space, you have this beautiful montage of your gift. And then you put shelves in front of it. And you store things on these little shelves in front of your montage, your sacred geometry. And then what that does is you can't see your sacred geometry, right? Because you've stored things in front of it. And she says that's why she was showing people like emptying out the things that they've stored so that they can see their sacred geometry, the truth of who they are, and share that with others in a more joyful way. She says that the 47 doesn't have to be serious. That she feels like actually that it's a corruption, transformation. The alchemical process doesn't have to come from seriousness. That joyfulness transforms energy.
That is so important, because I was just going to say, many times the transformation of the 47 kind of looks like tough love, or like you have to be there on the cross hanging. That's how you're going to transform. And it's almost like what we were saying today in our group with the Venus immersion people. what's the purpose if it's easy? It's almost like the 47 could say such a thing. It's like, it has to be hard. You have to be the cross. It has to be a transmutation where like all the different, the amalgamy of the metals have to like kind of burn. And maybe that's the thing. If the 47 can see that for others, it can have a purpose without being hard. Maybe the 47 itself can step in without, like, because that's the archetype we were writing about, is that person who says it's terrifying and I'll go there anyway. That's the spirit of the, and I guess that's when the heart opens, and that's where the joy is. It's like, it's terrifying, but I know it's worth it.
Right. And she says that's why I started with holding hands, because when you isolate, when you're not in a group or you're not holding hands with others, it can be terrifying. But when you let other people in and you hold their hands and you open your hearts and you see what's in other people's hearts, and you can share, that's what she was doing. That was her first thing. What she did was she looked at the person next to her, and she was looking in their heart space, and she was like, what's this? Do you really want this person needs that, could we give that to them? And then that being felt so much lightheartedness. And then as everyone in the circle saw the lightheartedness that being experienced from letting go, and literally it felt like the oppression, like there was so much pressure from holding this stuff in the heart space. And when the 47 took this thing out of this being's heart space, it was like, wow, like they lifted up and felt so much lighter. And then the group saw the lightness, and then they were spontaneously like opening their heart space and dumping out. And then that's when the joyfulness came. So she says, alone it can be very scary. And so she says, I encourage my 47s to be in community and find your people and hold hands and share what's in your heart space, and let go of what's just sitting on a shelf collecting dust, and being pressure in your field. And
we have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
One continues with the shadow frequency and asks how to overcome oppression, which is the shadow frequency. And I don't know, is there anything more to say? Or, I mean, I feel like everything we said so far has to do with how to get out of the shadow frequency. But is there anything to add? So here is like 6-3 with 40 as the purpose. So is there anything more to say with that shift from the lowest frequency up until to the frequency that is more expansive?
Yeah,
that we haven't already said.
The 47 is going through your heart space, and she's showing me everything that you have collected there in your heart space, and your little shelves are really, really full. And she's saying, what can you let go of in your heart? What's already served you? What can you can ask, what am I, good with? I remember she's showing me an image of my journey with victim energy. And I remember, that each time I discovered, oh, I'm in victim energy right now, I'd start a new cycle, and it would get shorter and shorter and shorter. And I remember the last time it was seconds that I realized it did. And it felt like lightning coming out of my head. And I was able to I was standing under this big tree, and this tree was helping me just transform this victim energy. And then that was it. And so she's like, what is it, that you're holding on to? And she just keeps asking the question, what oppresses you? Make a list of what you feel oppresses you. What is that connected to in your heart? Do you need to keep learning from that same thing? Do you need to hold on to that same thing? Maybe you do. She doesn't have any judgment, but if there's some of them you can let go of, it will open up some space that will give you new. It's like it will open. She shows it like this, like it'll open up some space so you can see some things differently and make some different choices. And she says you'll start become lightening up and enlightening. So I hope that helps you, Brianne. Hope I said your name right.
Now we have a kind of different question, and this is more about mechanics, and I guess it's the channel 4764 between the head and the ashna. So it's Hans from
Hey,
our
Hans.
Venus immersion and inner circle, and he's asking about realization and where it happens in the body graph, basically, which is a little bit different, but I guess we want to bring it up since it's on.
She says that it's an interesting question, and she says there's not one answer. She says that everyone is wired differently. And she shows that it really depends on where your defined centers are. But she says that everyone is capable of moving energy. Every single being is capable of moving energy. What that alchemical process looks like, what combines, if we think of alchemy as a process of combining the right elements, she says that each person's alchemical process is different. And some people are designed to process, she's showing me 5th, 6th, 7th chakra. Other people are designed to have that alchemical process happen somewhere else in the body. And she says it's really, you have to really look into your own design and feel. But she is showing me that she's saying something about you can't eliminate any of the parts completely. So we have our body, we have our soul, we have our spirit. There are, you can't, what the ratios are different, but it takes all the pieces and parts to make the flame. And she was showing me how different people have different ratios, and then she showed me this big flame, from the alchemical process. Yeah. My eyes kind of went to the side, and I saw Mike Hess's comment questions take me away of doing what I know and can prove moment by moment. And I think the 47 wanted us to see that idea about how questions can help us transform. So thanks for that, Mike. The 47 noticed. Hey, Brandon. Brandon says, I've really been struggling to let go of my dependencies in recent times. It's frustrating because I'm so aware of these things, but have just felt weak to make the changes. Let's see what the 47 has. The 47 is taking me right to like your 3rd and 2nd chakras. And she's showing me the energy kind of swirling around. If I were going to put my hands, I would put them like on my, between my navel and my hips, right in there. And she shows me, it's almost like you're caught there and your energy isn't fully circulating. And so, what would it take, Brendan, for you to experience your root all the way to your 7th chakra, from your feet to your hair, from your fingers to your fingers? So there's something that's keeping you spiraling right there. And what if you got out of that and expanded out to the other parts of you? She says that you want to know yourself, but you aren't knowing your whole self. So, how could you more fully know your whole self? I mean, I'm actually seeing a holographic profile in the Gene Key profile, and so she brought my awareness to your attractor's field and your SQ, and then she brought me my awareness like to your activation sequence and your outer spheres. So maybe explore with maybe explore your activation sequence, maybe explore, some of your other spheres and get some movement that way. Bella, I can't hear you. Do we have some other questions?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No, I think that was all the questions, and I think now we have quite a lot of people, so maybe we should get off and come back with a 6, which is the door or the archetype that just opened. But I liked what we did today, because we can have the archetype actually answering questions that aren't completely even linked to that gene key. So if you feel drawn to an archetype, come and ask any question in your life about that archetype. I actually want to bring up Christina, because it looks like she's like a pro when it comes to human design.
Wow.
She has the 47 line 4 repression in her personality earth, which would be her purpose in the gene keys. Open head, defined Ashna. I'm a single definition, and the 47 connects to it. Oppression and transmutation has been a large part of my life and purpose. It's something I'm learning and experimenting with, letting the oppression and repression transmute. My genius sequence and cross is the ruler. Cross of your rulership is the 22, 47, 26, 45.
Wow, what a beautiful profile. Thanks you're so articulate. I'm so impressed, Christina. Thank you for that. Did you want, let's see if the 47 has any, well, the first thing the 47 says to you, Christina, is she applauds your efforts. She says, to know your heart. She says, so I'm wondering, Christina, what is your SQ? But she says, to know your heart, and she's showing me a dynamic between your attractor sphere and your SQ. So she's showing me some energy between those two. It almost feels like a bit of friction there is the best way I can describe it. It's energy moving, but it feels like there's a little bit of a rub there. So maybe explore between your attractor sphere and your SQ. And then she points to your radiance. So if you explore that friction between your attractor sphere and your SQ, and then then the energy just shoots off to your radiance. So that might be a nice way for you to explore further. Yeah.
And here, for everybody who's into human design, I feel like this is a theme that has been coming up for you and me today, Simone, even on our call before when we are speaking about the pathway of individuation, and you brought up that word, because there is no pathway between the attraction and the SQ. So here for you, Christina, if you aren't into the gene keys, we have the attraction with this design moon, and then we have SQ, which is design Venus, and then the radiance is the personality, no, the design sun. So there is something here, but what came through, it's really to almost look at that path of individuation, which is purpose, attraction, SQ, pearl, and life's work, to look at as the actual chakra pillar that you have in you. And it seems like both from your response to Brandon and to Christina and what we did before in our call, I can see that what we are looking at today is that between the second, we could say the second, third, and fourth chakra. So it's very much in the center of the body, where I guess it's like kind of the willpower and the emotions that want to interplay with the heart. And it doesn't want to have separation. It doesn't, and the 22 especially can very much like pull to the side, and sometimes it's not until we feel grace or this greatness, the heart feels like it has anything to do with honor and the oppression that we can feel in the interplay with the 22 and 47. So there's something with that pillar of individuation that is here today for sure.
When you started talking about the pillar of individuation, the 47 took the energy and went straight up, and then it like opened into a sun, like this beautiful ball of light. Almost imagine what's the toroid. Imagine the toroidal field coming up through that center channel, opening up above the head. A sun emerged over the head and then circled back around. And it felt like, wow, just this great opening of, you to your sun self, and then that energy fueling your whole toroidal field. So love that that pathway Bella described. So super, super cool.
Yeah, I think, Simone, that we are kind of it's 40 minutes in, so I think we're going to stop here, even if we could comment more. And you guys might see us for the 6 even today. Is there anything you want to say to close?
No, the 47 is just so grateful. She's just saying how much fun she had playing with you guys. And she said she really loved looking at your different pathways and showing you, all these questions about the electromagnetics and how energy is moving. She's reveling in that. And she says, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help, the alchemical process. And so she's just like so excited that y'all asked such great questions. So thank you for being with us with the 47. And I'm just saying thank you to the 47 on behalf of all of us. And we love you guys. Thanks for joining us with these soul communications.
Thank you. Bye.